Adultery. Adultery is the litmus test of lasciviousness. If you want to know if your denomination is following Christ, check this fruit. For many will say grace is not an excuse to sin, but most embraced adultery. You see, Jesus was strict about adultery. Even lusting at someone other than your spouse is adultery. It is adultery for man to divorce his wife and marry somebody else. And anyone who marries a divorced person enters into adultery. Marriage is a holy covenant between a man and a woman. It ends only by death of a spouse, and God does not recognize second and third marriages after divorce. Only widows and widowers can remarry someone else. There is no more Deuteronomy 24, 1 through 4. This was a concession that Moses gave the Israelites because of the hardness of their hearts. Also, the Matthew except for fornication clause is gone, which applied to Mary and Joseph living in Old Testament times. Mary and Joseph were betrothed to one another and called husband and wife. Man is not to divorce his wife, even break engagement. If there is separation, neither party is to remarry somebody else. If they do, they enter into adultery because they are violating the permanent marriage covenant. Adulterers do not enter the kingdom. This is just like the marriage covenant between Jesus and his bride. The bride of Christ is betrothed to Jesus and is expected to be submitted to him, keeping his word. The bride does not go after other gods, other doctrines. It does not practice lasciviousness, but strives to remain pure and faithful, keeping his word, being obedient. Again, the marriage covenant is a covenant between first spouses. Man and woman become one flesh, joined together by God, which no man can dissolve. God does not recognize divorce and remarriage to someone else. This is adultery. And if there is separation, both parties are to remain single. Only widows and widowers can remarry someone else. Part 2. Protestantism embraces adultery. This is the bad fruit of Gnostic teaching. The Reformers, Martin Luther and John Calvin, gave permission for adultery. The Reformers created many reasons for divorce and many reasons for remarriage. Examples for divorce are impotence of the man, refusal to perform conjugal duty, adultery, and abandonment. The innocent party could remarry. And Calvin even insisted the guilty party could remarry too. Today, many churches allow divorce and remarriage freely for reasons even as irreconcilable differences. All one has to do is read the Statement of Faiths, just like the Westminster Confession. There you can see it in writing, all the excuses for divorcing and remarrying. Part 3. The Catholic Church. The Catholic Church uses the instrument of annulment. Catholics get a record number of annulments. Quote, to receive an annulment today, a divorced Catholic must show at the time of the wedding he or she lacked judgment or maturity or suffered from an emotional, psychological disability. Last year, according to church figures, there were 77 annulments in the United States for every one in 1968. Americans now receive 70% of all annulments granted by the Roman Catholic Church. Available church records show 34,484 American annulment cases were decided in 1980 as against 448 in 1968. That's a huge increase. Over the years, annulments have been granted in more than 3/4 of the cases, church lawyers say. Part number 4. Modern Judaism likewise embraces divorce and remarriage. Jewish law allows for divorce and remarriage. Non-Orthodox sects, like some Christian denominations, embrace homosexual marriages. What this means is most Christians and Jews are in apostasy. They are not following what God intended for man and woman. The marriage covenant is to reflect God's covenant with man. The bride of Christ is betrothed to Christ and is expected to remain pure and faithful to his word. People are not to run after strange doctrines of man. These are other gods. Adultery, divorce and remarriage is the litmus test for every congregation. They will adamantly say grace is no excuse for sin, but at the same time they are busy officiating second and third marriages for divorced people. If you see others getting married for the second and third time after a divorce, you need to warn them, because adulterers will not enter the kingdom of God. And all the major religions fail this test.